Hello students, welcome to AriserTalent. As you know, we are studying the important chapter of NCERT, that is life processes, in which we have already studied about the respiration, that is the general introduction about the process of respiration. Now we are going to talk about the respiration in plants and animals. Okay, so first of all, we will talk about the respiration in plants. Fine, so let me start. Generally, respiration in plants takes place by the stomata. In plants, if we talk about in plants, then it takes place by the stomata, okay, tentacles, lenticles and roots. Okay, so here is the example of respiration in plants. First of all, we are talking about the Spirogyra. Spirogyra is a plant and then it do the respiration by its whole surface. Okay, it does not have a particular part that will do the process of respiration. It do the respiration by its whole process, and oxygen enters through the process of diffusion. Okay, it goes through the all parts of body, and then as I already told you that it helps it do the process of exchange of gases by the whole surface. Okay, so what is the special feature about the Spirogyra? That Spirogyra exchange gases. Which gases? Intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide by the whole surface. Okay, so this is just was an example of Spirogyra. Now we will talk about the plants, general plants. Generally we will talk about the plants here. Okay, next is, this is the complete diagram. It is the diagram of a plant. Here I'll explain you the process of respiration by the leaves and by the roots. Okay, so in plants generally respiration takes place. Respiration is done by the stomata, which are generally present in the leaves, okay, and by the roots. Okay, so thus we can say in plants respiration takes place by the stomata and the roots of the plant. So here first of all we will talk about the leaves. In the leaves, stomata are present. Okay, so already we have studied about the structure of stomata in the previous lecture of that nutrition. That time I told you the process of photosynthesis. In that already I have told you the structure of stomata, but still I'll explain you again. So what happens here, you can see that the leaves takes in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Now let me explain you. In the leaves, stomata are present. As we all know, in the terrestrial plants, stomata are generally present on the underside of the leaf. Okay, so this is the structure of stomata. Already we have studied about the structure of stomata, but let me explain you that these are the guard cells, and at that time also I told you that this vacuole, this space which is known as stoma. Okay, this stoma helps in the exchange of gases. Okay, this stoma helps in the exchange of gases. Fine. What happens, students? As I told you that the stomata are present in the leaves. Now what happens? These stomata intake the oxygen. They intake the oxygen. Then this oxygen, first of all, the oxygen in the plants enters through the process of diffusion. Fine. Then when this oxygen reaches to the leaf, then it goes to the all the cells of the plant by the intercellular spaces. Okay, clear? Intercellular spaces are present here. Let me explain. Intercellular spaces are present in the complete plant parts. Okay, so what happens when the oxygen enters here in the leaf through the stomata, by the process of diffusion, it goes to the all parts of the plant by the intercellular spaces. Okay, now what happens? Carbon dioxide, during the process of respiration, as I have already told you about the process of respiration, that the oxygen is essential for the respiration, because oxidation of food is done in this process, and by the oxidation of food, carbon dioxide is released. So by this stomata, exchange of gases is done. Okay, it takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. Clear? So this is the process of respiration in the plants. Now what happens, student? The thing which is very important to understand here, as we all know, when I told you about the process of photosynthesis, I told you that carbon dioxide is used by the plants to make the food. Clear? Now if we are talking about this process, if respiration takes place, it is of course understandable that respiration will take place whether it is day or night. Fine. So during the day, here I am talking about during the day when respiration takes place, then carbon dioxide is produced. That carbon dioxide is utilized by this plant only for the process of photosynthesis. This is the reason during the daytime the amount of carbon dioxide in the air is less. Okay, and during the process of photosynthesis, as we all know, even during the process of oxygen, it is taking in oxygen. Okay, but as the same time it is producing carbon dioxide, and then this carbon dioxide is utilized by the photosynthesis, and that time by the process of photosynthesis oxygen is released. So that amount of oxygen is greater than the amount of carbon dioxide. This is the reason that oxygen is released into the atmosphere during the daytime. Clear? During the process of respiration, it is taking in oxygen, but at the same time it is releasing carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is consumed by the plant during the process of photosynthesis, and then at that time oxygen is released into the atmosphere during the day. Clear? Now let me explain you, but the condition is opposite at the night. What is that? At night sunlight is absent. Okay, then during respiration takes place at the night also. At that time, when the plant intake oxygen and release carbon dioxide by the oxidation of food, then the amount of carbon dioxide is not occupied, is not consumed by the plant, because plant will not make their food at the night in the absence of sunlight. So what will happen? At that time, the amount of carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere, and the amount of carbon dioxide increase at the night in the atmosphere. Clear? This is a difference during the day and at the night. Okay. First of all, let me write about these things. We are talking here about the stomata. Respiration in plants. Okay, first we are talking about the stomata. We have already studied the structure of it. What happens? Oxygen enters during the process of respiration. During the process of respiration, oxygen enters in the plant body, in the plant by stomata through the process of diffusion, through the diffusion. It reaches all the cells of plant by the intracellular spaces of the plant. by the intracellular spaces of the plant. Okay, I explained you that intracellular spaces are present in the plant. So once the oxygen enters through the stomata, by the process of diffusion, it spreads in the whole parts of the plant. Fine. Now during the day, carbon dioxide released by the plant is utilized by the plant itself in the process of photosynthesis, is utilized by the plant itself for the process of photosynthesis. Okay. Thus, the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is less than the oxygen during the day. Hope it is clear to you why the amount of carbon dioxide is less during the day in the atmosphere, because whatever carbon dioxide is released by the process of respiration, that carbon dioxide is utilized by the plant itself for the process of photosynthesis, and during the process of photosynthesis, plant release oxygen into the atmosphere. This is the reason we get sufficient amount of oxygen during the daytime and the amount of carbon dioxide is less during the daytime, but the condition is opposite at the night. During night, in the absence of sunlight, plants do not perform the process of photosynthesis. So the amount of carbon dioxide is more in the atmosphere at the night, because only one process is taking place, that is the respiration, means oxygen is utilized by the plant, okay, and it is releasing carbon dioxide which is not utilized by the plant. It is not performing the process of photosynthesis. At that time it will release, means plant will release that carbon dioxide into the atmosphere itself. This is the reason that the amount of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere at the night. Clear? So this is all about the stomata, functioning of stomata and the respiration in the plants. Fine. Now we will talk about the respiration in the plants by the roots. It was all about the respiration by stomata which are present in the leaves. Now we will talk about the roots. As I told you, in plants, roots also help in the respiration. How they help in the respiration? Here we can see, we all know that the roots are present inside the soil, or this is the part of the plant which is found under the ground, means soil is present. Now what we know, that these roots have some root hairs. Okay, I'll explain you by the structure, but let me explain it here, that these roots will absorb the oxygen which is present in the soil. Okay, soil also has interspaces. Okay, so these particles have some spaces, then these spaces are occupied by the air, and air contains oxygen. So these plant roots intake the oxygen from that soil. Fine. Then by the process of respiration, again carbon dioxide is released into the soil only. Now let me explain you it by the structure of roots. Here we can see the structure of roots. What happens? Roots absorb oxygen from air present in between the soil particles through the root hairs. These are root hairs. This is the structure of root. Generally taproot is there. Okay, one main root and the side roots. These side roots all have root hairs. These root hairs absorb the oxygen which is present in the between the soil particles. Then after the process of respiration, it releases carbon dioxide again by these roots here only. Okay, so let me mention here, plants roots or roots of the plants absorb oxygen present in the soil particles, present between the soil particles, present between the soil particles. Okay, and release carbon dioxide during the process of respiration. Okay, so this is all about the respiration in plants. I told you that in the plants, generally some plants breathe through the stomata and roots, and some plants breathe through the lenticles. Okay, lenticles means generally woody stems, then they absorb the oxygen by the whole surface. Okay, that is known as tentacles. And if we talk about the general plants, generally they have roots, means the part of the plant which is above the ground, that is shoot, and in the shoot they have leaves to do the process of respiration and photosynthesis. Okay, so here we can say that the stomata of the leaves helps in the process of respiration, and the part of the plant which is inside the ground, which is in the soil, it absorbs the oxygen from the soil particles and then it releases the carbon dioxide there itself. I mean to say that the complete part of the plant, okay, like upper plant, if we talk about the upper body of the plant, their leaves help to do the process of respiration by the stomata, and the lower part, which also, as we all know, that these are the roots which provide oxygen and water and minerals to the plant. This is the reason it can grow. If they will die, if the roots will die, then the plant cannot grow. So this is the important thing to be noted here, that the roots here absorb the water as well as they absorb the oxygen from the soil particles. So thus we can say that both the parts of the plant do the process of photosynthesis. Clear? The upper part and the lower part. So lower part is that roots, means root absorb oxygen from the soil particles and then it releases carbon dioxide here only. Okay, so this is the complete process of respiration in plants. Now we will talk about the respiration in animals. Okay, so here as I told you, the respiration in plants. Now as I told you, I'll explain you about the respiration in animals. So before starting that topic, I must explain you something in brief, that respiration in animals is faster than the respiration in plants. Okay, why it is so? Because Plants do not have the largest surface area, but the animals have the larger surface area. This is the reason that they have the faster respiration process than the plants. So thus here, as we have studied about the respiration in plants, so we can say that the respiration in the plants is slower than the respiration in the animals. So here we are talking about, now we are talking about the respiration in animals. So thus we can say that the respiration in animals is the faster than the respiration in the plants. Okay, why? Because they have the larger surface area. Other thing is that they have a rich supply of blood for the exchange of gases, as well as they have the thin walls for the exchange of gases. Okay, so this is the reason that the respiration in animals is faster than the respiration in the animals. Fine. So hope here whatever we have studied about the respiration in the plants, all the processes are clear to you. Thank you.